Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama,
Actually, Prabhupada's mercy, where would we be?
Cool. This one has notes.
I've written about different ones. Forgive me for that. So we'll start with a prayer and go on to our verses.
What page is that on?
It says prayers on page 1 of that edition.
It's just page 1.
Yeah. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Salakya Kaksurum Militam Yena Tasme Sri Guru Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swaya Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapandikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Yuta Padakamalam Sri Guru Vaishnavam Cha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Ragnata Vitam Tam Sijavam Savitam Savadutam Parijanaya Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lita Sivisam Sutam Cha He Krishna Krishna Sindhu Dina Bando Jagapati Gopisa Gopikanta Radha Kanta Namostute. Tapta Kancha Gorangi Radha Venkrasari Visabhanu Sutta Devi Panamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarascha Kripa Sindhavaya Evacha Patinadayam Bhavavayo Vaishnavayo Namo Namaha Sri Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Saraswati Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Prabhupada ki jai. Welcome. Everything okay? Yeah. Long day.
Long day. Yeah.
I cheated. I took a bit of a break for 1 hour because I saw you this morning.
You saw me? Oh.
Oh yeah. I saw you at 4:30.
Yeah, that's right.
It was a good answer.
Yeah.
So we're going to do 4.9, which is on very famous verse, page 103.
Yeah.
Then we can do some recap and do some Karma Yoga.
Okay. You say 403?
So 183. Page 183 for verse 4.9.
Yeah. Say something.
There's some glass there.
Janma Kama Chamet Gita. Puna Janma, 90 Mam ever Sojana.
Janma Karma Chari Divya, Meva Yuvati Tatvata, Chakta De Padajanma, Niti Mamsati. one who knows the transcendental nature of my appearance and activities does not, upon leaving the body, take his birth again in this material world, attains my eternal abode. Arjuna. So, in order not to take birth in this material world again, you have to know the transcendental nature of Krishna's appearance and activities. Yeah, does that make sense? Yeah. Okay. So let's break that up. Right? Let's look at the transcendental nature part first, and then transcendental nature of the activities second. So it's basically two things: transcendental nature of appearance and transcendental activities. So there's already clues in this chapter at the start. So we can go to page 171. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Imam Vivasti Yogam Pratavam Aham Avyayam Viswasan Manave Praha Manuriksavake Bravi. The personality of Godhead, Lord Krishna, said, I instructed this imperishable science of yoga to the sun god, Vivasan, and Vivasan instructed it to Manu, the father of mankind, and Manu in turn instructed it to Ikshvaku. Okay, so we're looking at the transcendental nature of Krishna's appearance and activities, right? So what is transcendental? Means not affected by material energy and emotional nature, fundamentally. It's in the simple, if you put it very simply. Yeah? Whereas the conditioned souls are all, in the material world, are all affected by the modes of nature and material energy. Yeah? Always causing them to think they're the doer of their actions. They're subordinate to Prakriti. Krishna is never subordinate to Prakriti, material nature. So here the clue is, there are two clues here. Okay? Now the common interpretation of this is that Krishna went and saw the sun god, the sun planet. Yeah? I don't think it's the normal way I've seen it put is not the sun god came to Krishna. Right? So the indication here is firstly, what is it about Krishna's body that is not like a material body? So what is the clue in this verse already that's telling us that Krishna's body is different? Well, there are two clues. Firstly, that Krishna was able to go to the sun planet and discuss the Bhagavad Gita with the sun god. In a physical body, it's not possible to do that. It'll just burn up. Yeah? But Krishna is completely unaffected by seeing Vivasva, right? Zero impact on him whatsoever. So that's the first common interpretation of that aspect. So the Krishna's body is not a material body. No? Second aspect is the next verse. So you've got a parampara here from the sun god. Next verse is Ivam parampara praptam imam rajasro vidu sakanya mahata yogo nasta param tapas. Verse 4.2. This supreme science was thus received through the chain of disciplic succession, and the saintly kings understood it in that way. But in course of time the succession was broken, and therefore the science appears to be lost. So we start off with this idea or concept that people get confused that Krishna has a material body. So he cannot talk to the sun god in the sun if he has a material body. But also he couldn't have been there millions and millions of years ago in a material body. Not possible. Right? It's not going to be like a human body that can just stay for that period of time. Right? So the time it's spent from this initial aspect to this aspect is very, very long. Yeah? Now, obviously one argument would be that the sun god lives within the life of Brahma, so that's nothing special. That means Krishna just has a body like Brahma's, which is still a material body. Yes, that you could put that argument, but it still means that he's exclusively very, very old. Not exclusively, but amongst very few beings that are very, very old, if he has a material body in that sense, right? But he could not have spoken to the sun god in the glaring effulgence of the sun god so many millions of years ago. Right? So this common misconception is again destroyed by Krishna in terms of his knowledge capacity. So we say Krishna has infinite knowledge of past and present and future. So in verse 4.5, page 176, Sri Bhagavan Vacha Bahini me Vyaktani Janmi Tava Janmajana Tane Aham Veda Sarvani Natvam Veda Paramtapta. The personality of Godhead said, many, many births, but you and I have passed. But I remember all of them, but you cannot subdue the enemy. Now this is, again, important from a time point of view. Krishna is not affected by time, right? But also he's very, very ancient. He's beyond time. Yeah? A conditioned soul just takes whatever good and bad he's done, that gets put in the score sheet, and he gets another body, depending on how he's lived this life in the modes of nature. So if you spend 90% of your life in the mode of ignorance, you're going to get an animal body. That's a common assumption. If you have a mixture of goodness, passion, and ignorance, if you're lucky enough to get a non-animal form, it may not necessarily be in this world, it may be in the lower worlds. Yeah? But Krishna is not affected by these things. He's not affected by the modes. So he's constant as he is eternally beyond the ambit of time. Yeah? So when we go to back to 4.9, and we're understanding, one knows the transcendental nature of my appearance and activities does not upon leaving this body take birth against us in this material world. Knowledge of the Lord is important if you don't want to take birth in this world. You cannot see Krishna as some sort of hero to be worshipped, or some sort of demigod, or some sort of deity that is just there to give you something. It's the eternal Lord which is the source of everything. Yeah? So I think that is an aspect that, of course, the people who want to deny Krishna, the kind of, four types of Buddhas, deny Krishna will always approach it with a high degree of skepticism. Yeah? Now, activities. So Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita tells us why he's going to be born just before this verse, right? Parichanaya sadhana vinasaya shadrishtatam dharma samstapanathaya sambhavani yuge yuge. To deliver the pious and to annihilate the miscreants, as well as to re-establish the principles of religion, I myself appear millennium after millennium. So that's 4.8 on page 182. Now, millennium here is not 1,000 years, it's yugas, yuga cycles. Yeah? So it's not like he appears in every yuga, it doesn't appear every 1,000 years. A yuga is, depending on which yuga it is, the Kali Yuga is 434,000 years. So, and then the other ones are twice and 3 times and 4 times longer. So, but the primary activity of the Lord is to deliver the pious, and to annihilate the miscreants, as well as to re-establish the principles of religion. Right? So, delivery of the pious is to basically assist the devotees. Yeah? Make sure they finish their role, the end of their karmic cycles in the world, so they can return to the spiritual world. Yeah? Same time, he annihilates the miscreants, which is a kind of mercy on them. In the Kurukshetra war, a lot of the Kauravas were annihilated. Yeah? And as well as to re-establish the principles of religion. So people, at the end of the Kali Yuga, Krishna will come as Kalaki and destroy all the maniacal kings and mischievous kings that are ruling the planet and wipe them out. Now, above all this, there is a fourth element, which is not here, right? As part of the delivery of the pious, Krishna is also going to descend with his entourage of, let's say, super devotees, these eternal devotees, the gopis. And that is going to be a confidential part of his arrival here. So he will carry out the pastimes as you see in chapter 10 of the canto 10 of the Srimad Bhagavatam. There's very, very detailed interactions between himself and the gopis. Yeah? Now, in order to understand that, obviously, we've always been told to go into a purificatory process whereby we can get to a point where we can understand that. But what we're trying to do by the end of our lives is not to be born here. So we have to understand the transcendental nature of Krishna's activities and appearance. And fundamental part of the activities is this idea of the relationship between Krishna as the ultimate pleasure recipient, and ourselves as the gopis as the ultimate pleasure givers. Right? And it's to start to conform our behavior in such a way that we are getting closer and closer to the attitude of the gopis. That's where we want to be. Right? So one of the key benchmarks, there's certain benchmarks here in sort of what we call super devotee behavior. And one of the biggest benchmarks for a conditioned soul is giving without wanting reciprocity. And that's one of the things we have to try and aim for in bhakti. So again, a common example is if the gopis spend hours and hours and days and weeks making a ginormous cake for Krishna, right? And it's the greatest cake you've ever seen. It's got like chocolate, marshmallows, sprinkles, all sorts of things on it. Any kid would dive and swim in that cake and never come out, right? And Krishna comes along and he looks at the cake and just walks off. Like the embodied soul will go, how would it feel? The normal embodied soul be like, hang on, that's a bit rude, man. What are you doing? Just walking off. You know? Well, why did you just walk off like that? You didn't appreciate the cake. You know? But the gopis, they just follow Krishna straight away. There's no pause. There's no like, you didn't want the cake. It's like there's some other fun to be had. For the cake, forget the cake. And they immediately forget and just go wherever he is. Right? No matter how much labor they put into the cake, you just instantly forget. Right? But the conditioned soul, because he's used to being in this world where the animal behavior almost of human, this is human-animal behavior. I give you something, you give me something. I give you something, you give me something. Transactional relationships. Right? One of the big problems with advancing in bhakti is people getting out of this transactional mentality. Yeah? So we want to move away from the transactional to the kind of, okay, that didn't work, so not even like, just move on to the next bit of bhakti, you know? So this is taking a lot of time to think about the difference between the material and the spiritual, right? In the spiritual, my nature, the difference between my activities and my nature is not that of somebody wants something and somebody gives something. It's not that with nature. You know? We are only seeking to give pleasure to Krishna, right? And in fact, if he doesn't want the cake, it's going to get more exciting because there's obviously something else he wants. So let's go and find out what that is. You know? That's the attitude we need to develop. So this transactional material relationships that we have to put aside. And then we can bring that into this world. So we kind of go, our relationships do not have any political alignment. You know? The politics of human relationships. In this moment, I have to be nice to this guy. I better say this like this. I better not put it like this, right? So if you look in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, one of the things that Rupa Goswami is emphasizing is he doesn't want diplomacy amongst devotees, because the real devotees don't have that kind of, their approach should be approaching some transcendental nature above the modes. They're not being like, you say it as it is, that's wrong, you don't, that is not right. Not harshly, but you don't try and hide the truth. Yeah? There's nothing to hide. You understand that the material world is part of your conditioning. Yeah? It's not something for you to feel shy or not shy about. These are temporary conditions, manifestations of ego. Yeah? At the same time, I didn't reciprocate. I did this arty. I didn't get nothing happened the next few weeks. Didn't get any good luck. I got stuck. You know, I got stuck on a bus stop and the bus didn't come for hours. I then got lost. I did so much bhakti. What's going on, you know? No, bhakti is for bhakti's sake. It's not for some other sake. It's happening. It has to be done for the sake of bhakti. Right? So, then you're developing a relationship, right? Like if you're friends with someone, you know the 5 relationships with Krishna. So one of the relationships we might be trying to yearn towards is past the servitude and past the neutral stage is the friendship stage. You know? And friends don't, you know, if something goes bad, something goes wrong, or, you know, in university people say, oh, you know, you were a bit of an arse last night, we went for a party, and like this went wrong and that went wrong, right? But it's not like, hey, you were a bit of an arse, I'm not talking to you. Because that's not close friendship. You know, that's not an attitude. You know? So we want to develop a relationship where we're open. We go, Krishna already knows as a super soul in your heart everything that's going on and your interactions with other people and how that interaction is going to occur. So there's no point hiding, you know. Now, why are we under illusion? Because since children, we play games like hide and seek. I close your eyes, count to 30, I go and find you. Or I don't want someone to see me, I'm going to lock myself in my room, you know. And I'm going to lock myself in the wardrobe. I go alone in the car, I go and sit in the park on my own. I don't want to be around my parents or whatever it is, or my friends, right? But from Krishna, there's no hiding. He's already there inside you. It's not possible. So we need to cut this is ignorance. Think, Krishna, I forget about Krishna. Krishna I don't need to worry, or this minute I'll do this on my own, you know. It is the acknowledgement. The gopis are able to run from the cake to the next task because they have the acknowledgement of total dependence, and they live in that acknowledgement of total dependence. They're not independent. They don't want to be independent. They don't want to go do something on their own. It's not like, that's not the standard that they operate at. Yeah? They are completely, 100% embellishing the fact they're completely dependent on Krishna. And in fact, Radhanath Swami, in a talk, he said, at any given time, you're already completely dependent on Krishna. You think that even Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, you can't even breathe without he's giving you sanction. So it's our conditioned state of we can hide from people. Our behavior in the world has perverted us from the reality of what we should be. Yeah? And we have to almost reverse engineer our behavior, which is scary in this world because actually, you know, being a pure devotee or being an aspirant pure devotee, as time goes on and this material world are not compatible, you're in an incompatible position. People at work, you have to put on this kind of, I've got to be something else with these people, and then like, what am I with when I'm not here? I want to be a devotee. Like I've got to be open and speak honestly and all this stuff. Yeah. But actually, over time, what you have to do is embrace the yearning for the transcendental nature, and that will make you give up the material leadings. Because you won't want to be out of that transcendental position. Duplicity, double dealing, pretending to be something you're not, you know, which is very common. I mean, in fact, most of the social structures and interactions in the material world are people going out and talking to each other in bars, pubs, and cafes, being a persona. You know, themselves are at home and they put on a persona. You know, and we're in the reality that we cannot hide from Krishna. So what's the point? I'm going to be this kind of guy. Krishna knows Krishna knows you are. You're thinking something that you should be thinking. Krishna knows. Yeah. So the transcendental nature of the activities are the activities that no embodied soul or no other entity in the spiritual world can perform. They cannot perform those activities. Yeah. For example, Krishna. Everything emanates from Krishna, ultimately. So Govinda Hill, for example, emanates from Krishna. So they say that Krishna manifests himself as Govinda Hill and is then worshipping himself. Now, to the materialist, that is inconceivable madness. I mean, why is this guy worshipping a hill? And he's claiming to be the hill as well. It's just he's obviously crazy, right? But we have to understand the transcendental nature of what's going on. The start of chapter 4. Chapter 4 is about the material world was set up with a series of rules to hopefully get you out of the material world at some point. Yeah? That's why it's created. Yeah? So Krishna, when he is saying to Nanda Maharaj, it is time to worship Govinda Hill, not Indra. Because Indra has got very proud. Krishna is in the super soul of the demigods. He is aware of this. He does not want a very proud Indra, because Indra is also a devotee. He must be checked. So he must also set the example that ultimately he is the ultimate beneficiary of all sacrifices, mentioned many times in Bhagavad Gita. You know? So Nanda Maharaj is told to worship Govardhan Hill. Now, the super devotee, Nanda Maharaj, right? This is a man who got a child very late in his life, 50s, whatever it was, equivalent of 50s, obviously. Different ages. But the devotion was so great that he's listening to a 4-year-old. Right? A 4-year-old, he's used to worshipping a hill to make sure he gets the rains for his crops, but he's listening to a 4-year-old boy instead. He's not worried about, oh well, I'm not going to get my water, I'm not going to get my crops. So they are going, oh my God, that's okay, well let's go and worship the hill. And Krishna is saying worship the hill. The entire village is worshipping the hill because they are already in a transcendental dependency state. If he's saying it would we'll starve to death. What about Indra? What's going to happen to us? And later on they get worried, but they're just like, okay, Krishna wants it. They're in that status. So where do we want to be? We want to be in this status of not just acknowledging the dependency, but living the dependency. That's the transition. It has to happen. Because when you really have concrete anchored down faith, you have to trust that Krishna will choose the best path for you, because he's the Supreme Lord. Everything in the material world, from the tigers to the ghost, whatever it is, it's all under his control. So by surrender, you're already within the domain of what is controlling everything. So, anyway, the story is obviously well known. They had the puja, the Govardhan Hill, ceremony, puja. And Indra gets very annoyed and it blows up, starts to blow up the hill. It doesn't work, it gets sucked into the mud. His pride gets defeated. So Krishna is always playing different roles here and in different situations, and is also teaching us. And the idea of all of those things is so that we, in Kali Yuga, can access these activities through the Bhagavad and get that hope of going back to Godhead. That is why these transcendental activities are there to deliver the pious. Yeah? For the non-believer, it's just children. It's a fairy story. A child lifting up a mountain, and then some sort of thunder god comes along and whatever. That's not interesting to the materialists, because they're already significantly under modes of nature. So what's already happening is that because of whatever bhakti you've done, previous lives and this life, you're able to access that story and see it as something else. Because you've got the piety to do that. But then you've got to progress that piety. It's a bit further. So 4.9, there's a final element here, which looks very simple when you read it, but does not upon leaving his body take birth again in this material world, but attains my eternal abode. Okay? So ultimately the judge is Krishna. He will decide what happens ultimately when you leave the body and who goes to the eternal abode. Okay? So in order to that, we have to go down to, it's like a specific visa. It's the best way to explain it. And there's certain requirements in that visa. And those requirements are given in the KPI chapter in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 12. What you need to achieve to get the visa to go back to Godhead. And this is Jnana Yoga. Karma Yoga and Jnana Yoga ultimately to go to Bhakti Yoga. Karma Yoga exists because we have a tendency, many of us, for karmic activity, because of the predispositions and the modes of nature of previous lives. Right? You wouldn't need to go to the IT company? I can't remember. Yeah. So you wouldn't need to go do that if you didn't have a proclivity to doing karmic activity. So you have to try and dovetail to purify yourself. But the aim is not to forever keep being reborn as an IT consultant. The aim is at some point to stop, and early as possible. The aim for me is not to be a lawyer forever. It's to some point there has to be a stop. Yeah? The purification has to occur, that this stuff is literally, the work itself is becoming bhakti. For Arjuna, he was doing it for Krishna's sake, under instruction. For us, it's a part of the purification process. So that's why in Bhagavad Gita, there's different levels of even karma yoga, you know, and you know, we call it, for example, sakarma yoga, which is the action where you do something for Krishna because you want Krishna to reciprocate. Yeah? And then there's, above that is nishkama karma yoga. There's no material lust involved in the work, and the result is given to Krishna. And that's the closest you can get in karma yoga before you have to accept what we call acknowledgement of dependency and living in acknowledgement of dependency. But the process has an end game. An end game is 100% bhakti, 100% actions, Krishna's sense pleasure. Then you are getting the visa ticket to go to the spiritual world. You know? As soon as there is an inkling of I'm doing this for me, or I'm doing my bhakti for myself because I feel good, you know, that's still a process. Bhakti is really just is actually everything for Krishna. Your happiness will come already, and no concern about oneself. Yeah. Prabhupada gets on the ship with very few amounts of money and lands in New York, almost just a luggage of books. It's living in the dependency, not just acknowledge that I will depend on God, you know, or whatever happens depend on God. No, you live in that mode of dependency. So, but if you don't progress to that naturally, it's too terrifying, and the mind is not there, and it gets distracted by material energy. So that's part of the process. I'll stop there for a moment. Yeah.
Perfect.
Any question on 7:30?
Kirtan, Adelaide. Leave a like and subscribe.